Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Bandwagon Sports. Today, I wanted to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs playoff loss in Game 7, and honestly, what comes next for them, because this is getting ridiculous at this point. This video is not going to be, a fancy edit video. This is going to be a realistic kind of rant that I'm going on, and I'm not even a Leafs fan, but I think that for Leafs fans, this is just unacceptable, and something needs to be done. So the first thing I go to look at when I look at the Maple Leafs and why they aren't winning is that big four of Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares. And the only one who actually stepped up during the playoffs was William Nylander. Matthews only had one goal. He did have 5 points, but he only had one goal, and he's a Rocket Richard winner for this year. There's no excuse for him not to have at least a goal per game in the playoff series against Montreal. Mitch Marner didn't even have a goal, even though he chipped in with 4 assists. He was productive. He was overall a decent contributor. John Tavares is the real outlier here because he was out with the injury after Game 1, I believe. He got kneed by Corey Perry, went to concussion protocol, just an injury, so he gets a pass. And William Nylander, the only one of these guys who actually was never really a big playoff performer until this year, stepped up. He had 5 goals, I believe. He had he led the team in points this playoffs. Also, some other really great players. Alex Galchenyuk was good in the offensive zone. Jason Spezza, Jake Muzzin, just some guys you wouldn't really expect to step up, had to step up, and they did. But with them stepping up, the big guys didn't, and there have been speculations of, is Nylander going to get traded? Is Marner going to get traded? Is Riley going to get traded? I don't believe anyone on the Maple Leafs is going to get traded. They have a whole lot of UFAs this year. They're basically going to have to reconstruct their team after this season. I mean, they have literally 70% of their roster is a UFA or RFA, so it's going to be a bit of a different Leafs team next year, I think. And one thing I would focus on going into this free agent class is getting some better guys for that bottom 6 that can play in playoff hockey, that succeed in playoff hockey, instead of the guys like, Nick Foligno and Wayne Simmons and Joe Thornton, who are old guys who, definitely have their best days behind them. You need to go out and get a guy like a Jordan Greenway or a Joel Eriksson-Ek, kind of those guys who can play a great defensive game in your bottom 6 and also put up good offensive numbers and help your team win on a daily basis in the playoffs, because the guys that they brought in didn't get it done at all. And you can't really fault the Maple Leafs for that, but they did go out and they went after older guys who might not contribute as much to a playoff team as they once used to. And I think that was the expectation of Leafs fans with a guy like Wayne Simmons and Nick Foligno. And they expected those guys to really contribute in the playoffs, and they didn't. It's upsetting. It's frustrating. I do understand that, but I definitely think this offseason they have to go out and they have to get some more grit in that bottom 6. It's just kind of what has to happen. The other thing that I can really go and look at when seeing a drought like this in the playoffs is the coaching staff and the general manager. I'm not going to say anything about the general manager or the president, Brendan Shanahan. I think that GM Kyle Dubas has done his best, has really just done his best to bring in guys that the fans want. If the fans wanted some better bottom 6 gritty guys, he tried to bring them in. He brought in Wayne Simmons, Nick Foligno. Obviously, it's not that's working. So maybe they just took guys that didn't really work in the Maple Leaf system. Maybe that's the case, but if that is the case, then why does it happen year in, year out? I'm looking at the coach at this point. Sheldon Keefe, good regular season coach. He can get it done in the regular season, but the regular season isn't going to work in the playoffs. Teams in the playoffs adjust their strategy to the playoffs. They adjust their roster where they get those playoff veterans in instead of those young guys. Like Montreal, they had Cole Caulfield sit out. They had Alexander Romanov sit out. They had Jesperi Kotkaniemi sit out for the first game, and instead they brought in guys who have that playoff experience and they coached them the way that they need to be coached to perform in the playoffs. They put them in their proper roles instead of trying to make them go out there and do something that they can't do. And I think the thing with Sheldon Keefe this year is he sent out his lines, and I don't know. It's just he did. I just feel like, honestly, I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. But I honestly just think that the problem at this point lies with Sheldon Keefe. I think that you should go out there if you're Toronto. You should, entertain your options for a new coach. I don't think that you should get rid of Sheldon Keefe. I think that he would be good as a assistant coach. I think that he could stick around and be an excellent assistant coach in the NHL. But I do question his role as a head coach in the NHL, especially, during the playoffs. And that's really all it comes down to. I think that if you're the Maple Leafs, this is your list for the offseason. Get some younger guys to play a bottom six gritty role. Paul Byron, that's a perfect example of a guy who's, 28, 29, 30 years old, who's a good two-way player. He can come up clutch in moments. He can play a good gritty defensive game in that bottom six. That's a great player that you should try to go after. A guy like Paul Byron. Multiple guys like Paul Byron, actually. And fill your bottom six with them. Your top six, you already have your big four. You can re-sign Zach Hyman, who can be a good second-line guy. You got Matthews and Tavares as your first two-line centers. So you honestly just have one opening there for a guy like, I don't know, maybe Nick Robertson, or I don't really know who else is on that Leafs team right now, but kind of just a guy who can slot in there, be a good offensive contributor. And I think the defense was good in this series. The defense did what it needs to do. The offense just didn't step up. Jack Campbell, this was his first year in the playoffs. He was great the first 4 games, the first 5 games. From then on, I'm not blaming him for the loss at all. I think he did enough to help this team win. He played his heart out the first 4 games, and the rest of the team just couldn't back it up. So I'm not blaming Jack Campbell at all. But definitely go out and get some Paul Byrons in the free agent market. Maybe add a guy for that second line wing that you can play beside Tavares and Hyman. I think that's definitely a thing that they should do. And also entertain an option of getting a new coach. And with all those things, you gotta hope that the Leafs contend next year. You have to hope that they make it out of the first round if they're playing a team like Montreal again. If the Leafs play a team like Tampa next year with the normal divisions, don't be upset if they lose, because that's an unrealistic expectation to win against a team like Tampa, who's just miles ahead of Toronto when it comes to playoff hockey. But that's going to be it for this video. I'm going to quit my rant here because I think I've spoken all that needs to be said for this moment. I don't think a Mitch Marner trade's going to happen. I don't think any major moves or trades are going to happen for the Maple Leafs. I think they just really need to refine the roster and refine management a little bit more. It's just like fine wine. You have to let it age. And I think that they're going to do that. So thank you all so much for watching this video. If you would like to, please hit subscribe and like on this video, if you enjoyed. And also leave a comment down below to tell me your thoughts on this situation with the Leafs. And that is going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. But for now, bye.